Good morning, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that sunrise. I figured I'd record that while I got the wood boiler going. Believe it or not, the way I'm dressed, it's not as cold as what you think. I just don't like to be cold. It's only 38 degrees and it's gonna be 67 today for the high. However, over the next week or so, our temperatures are gonna start dropping. You can see here, we just fired up the wood boiler. The water temperature inside is 59 degrees. Those of you that have, or maybe you haven't, I don't know. Not everybody's seen wood boilers before, but essentially it's a firebox, just like you see right here. It's a firebox, and up here there's a bunch of tubes and stuff that go across that help transfer the heat from the fire into the into the water, basically. So there's a big 300-gallon tank essentially that surrounds this whole firebox. Gets heated by the fire, obviously, and then they turn around and pump it through lines from the back and goes to the heat exchanger for the house. And also we have a heat exchanger now in the shop too. But we want to get this going, make sure that we don't have any issues here. Looks like it's going pretty well. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Temperature's rising like it's supposed to. We're gonna check all of our fittings and everything. So if you, I don't know how long you've been with the channel, but if you're new here, we just built this shop in the spring, and we actually just moved our wood boiler over here too. Our wood boiler used to be over there, right behind that yellow guide wire that you see coming down. There's a white pipe sticking up. It used to be where our wood boiler was. The people that built the house and everything, that's where they wanted it, which is fine, but we didn't like it because every time we bring wood over and stack it next to it, we're making a muddy mess, and it's just not a very good location for it. The other thing was is that while it heats the house, right, we also wanted to heat the shop. Well, if we did it that way, we would have ran new lines for the shop and left the old lines in for the house. Well, we wanted to run new lines because the ones we used were better insulated than what was actually installed already. So we figured we'd kill two birds with one stone. Move this over here, makes it to where and we actually had this concrete pad poured the same time they did the concrete for the shop. And then this is actually the concrete pad that used to be over there. We just lifted it up with the skid steer, brought it over here, mainly because we're like, oh, this would be a good place for it. We can use it to stand on to put wood and stuff in there. So we'll come back and check on this in a little bit. It should be fine. Now that we have the fire going, really not much we can do with it. So we'll let it burn, it'll catch up, it'll do its thing. What we're going to do though, again, if you've been around on the channel for a little while, we bought this in spring, I think. We bought it earlier this year. Anyways, when we bought it, there was some stuff that we fixed on it, and the one thing we didn't fix was the brakes. So the brakes don't work well at all. You can squeeze the brake controller with the truck in drive and it won't even stop the truck. I mean, you can feel it like they're attempting to stop it, but they're not working. We looked into it, diagnosed it, thought, you know, hey, maybe the brakes just need adjusted. They're not, you know, the pads aren't touching hard enough. That wasn't the case. They're actually self-adjusting. So the solenoids that are on here that actually push the brake pads out against the drum are weak. And we're actually gonna go ahead and replace the whole mechanism because a lot of it was kind of rusty when we were in there, so we don't want to take a chance of something else failing. There's a big reason we have to go pick up something that weighs roughly 18,000 pounds. Can't tell you what it is yet. You'll see in the next video. But I want to make sure that I have plenty of stopping power because at the end of the day, that truck is not going to stop it on its own. And that makes it to where it's dangerous, not just for us, but for others that are on the road, because if I can't stop and I slam into them with, you know, 30,000 pounds, obviously we're gonna hurt somebody. We don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna pull this out, we're gonna get the wheels lifted up in the air, and we'll get started on it. Notice that we have the hydraulic dovetail down. We actually have downforce on that to lift the back of the trailer, and then we have the front jacks down. We do that because that's how we're lifting up and jacking up and supporting the trailer. Now, The front axle will be done first. Once the front axle is done, then we'll modify how we have this set up to lift up the rear axle. Like that because if something happens, something fails back here as far as the hydraulic system, it can't hurt me. It can't fall to the ground, it can't fall over, nothing like that. So kind of a benefit, kind of a downfall as far as, you know, you're relying on hydraulics. So again, it does have a sense of danger to it. Let's get this wheel pulled off. Didn't really pay attention to this last night or anything, but saw it this morning. Thought, huh, well, what fluid could that be? Went ahead, you know, put my finger in it, sniffed it. It's dog pee. Here I am sitting there thinking that the wife's car is leaking coolant or something. Uh-oh. That's not good. That's what I'm afraid of. What the hell? Oh, got it. Whew. I was almost certain we were going to bust the cap. Not like the gangster way of busting a cap, like bust the axle cap. Oh, Bella, you're the reason it's taking so long. We should have been done with this 30 minutes ago. Go bring your bone. I'll throw it one more time. Go bring her. Go get it. Heavy. Pretty sure you guys can see well enough to identify the fact that we clearly have a leak in here. So we need to get a seal for this on the back. You can see all these, well, hopefully you can see them. I have 5 nuts back here, basically 5 studs come through, and there's an open hole up top, but those 5 studs come through. We're going to take these nuts off of there so we can take this whole brake mechanism off. Notice that it actually has another set of nuts on the inside. It looks like it's because these plates are flat and they're not offset. I think they used the nuts here as an offset to get these back far enough so they could put them on. That's what my guess is, but I don't honestly know. Either way, it's got to come off. A new one. I don't want to be short wire. All that dirt in there is gotta get cleaned out now. Dang it. Crap. I gotta get the air compressor together. Alright, get all of our dirt cleaned off. Everything else looks alright. Put this in here without pinching our wires. I know the scenery's changed. It's dark out now. It's been a rough day. The brakes on the front axle are on. They're functioning. But it was a heck of a trip getting there. So, long story short, the wire running down the frame rail, it must be corroded or have a break in it somewhere and water got in and corroded it. Because essentially it'll push voltage to the brakes, but then as soon as you apply them to a brake, so once I connected a brake, my voltage would drop to nearly 0. It'd be 0.5 or 0.3. There's basically none. Anyways, tracked it down, looked at, you know, started at the front of the truck where the brake controller is to see what would happen, and everything was good. Worked my way back, went to the plug of the truck. Again, everything was fine. So ran a new wire, just a wire outside the trailer and everything, just to test the theory down the trailer. So ran it from the back of the truck over that down here, and then over the side to the brake on that side just to test it. That gave me brakes on that side because it was hooked up just to that brake. So then I ended up having to run a new wire. Ran the new wire, got everything tied up. The brakes aren't done yet. They're gonna be done soon. Unfortunately, the brakes just the new ones didn't get put on. However, on a brighter note, the back ones are actually working, just not as well as I'd like them to. I've adjusted them as much as I could. That magnet is just not functioning as well as it should. It's definitely weak. It's gonna get us by for tomorrow. Front brakes they'll lock the tires up. Back ones, they won't lock the tires up, but they do pull. Basically, I tested it just by disconnecting one set just to check it and see. Yeah, nightmare. So we'll get the rest of them done. Just won't be tonight.